Welcome to the Awesome Talks Project, an experimental podcast that is completely unscripted and unedited. There's no website, no email address, and there are no social media accounts. It's just me having awesome talks with my friends about stuff that matters and sharing it with the world. So, welcome to, is this our fourth? Our fourth.
Yeah.
Awesome Talks Project. We were supposed to have our second sex episode this month, but that didn't work out schedule-wise for the people that were going to be recording with me. So we're going to do it next month. We just couldn't there was too many things happening in everybody's world for July. But since July actually is the 10th of July was the 10-year anniversary of me getting sick with Ramsay Hunt syndrome, it kind of came out of the blue and hit me. Like, I don't really think about that anniversary date very often anymore, but something, I don't even remember what happened, something came up in a conversation and I was like, whoa, it's been 10 years, like the 10th. This was like 2 days before that. So, it's been weighing on my mind. I kind of went through a little bit of a funk. Like, I went through a little sad phase about it, even though I feel like I've come a really long way in dealing with that and my acceptance of it. But I thought that it would kind of be a good subject for us to talk about on the show. So today I kind of want to cover our stories, and I want to let people know how you can, like, not be an asshole, basically, to people who deal with chronic illness or disability. And also, as always, I want people to feel like they're not alone. They're listening to this, and to start good conversations about it and hopefully affect some kind of positive change. So,
Ripples.
Yes, today with me I have Casey and LSA, and I think we're just going to go. Like, I don't know, but I'll just start with Casey and we'll work our way around. So, Casey, let us know kind of your story. What happened to get you where you are? And
okay, so I turned 40 on November 10th, 2007, and 6 weeks later I had a stroke. And they didn't know why. They still don't know why. What caused it specifically. I mean, they know that it was a stroke. They know how strokes happen. They know it was an ischemic. The word's really hard to pronounce and has S's and C's.
Ischemic?
Yeah. It was an ischemic one, not the other kind.
And what does that mean? Like, what's the difference?
I was trying to think about this because I can't remember the name of the other kind, but the ischemic one means that the clot hangs out in a spot for a while and then dissipates. So you get damage, but it's not there permanently. It doesn't have to be surgically removed. It eventually will continue on its merry way. But essentially, I had 2 clots at 2 different points on this night between Christmas and New Year's 2007 camp out at some point in my vertebral artery, and it killed access to my memory center, balance, and some vision. So, when I got done with my 8-day stay in the hospital, I couldn't find words. It was difficult to write. Everything was too bright. I had a headache for 4 years. Well, at first I didn't know it was going to be 4 years, but
yeah,
it was a really long headache.
They didn't say this headache's going to last for 4 years.
Oh, and I had no insurance.
Oh, well, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah. There was one awesome nurse at St. Mary's Hospital in San Francisco. On the day before I checked out, she handed me the paperwork for state disability, for unemployment, and for federal disability. She said, turn in this one now, this one in a month, this one in 6 months. And I did those things in order, and I got the disability that I needed when I needed it.
Good.
Which was awesome. It was weird because 40 is young for a stroke.
Very young, yes.
It turns out it could be environmental. They're not sure why. Strokes are coming much earlier. Lots earlier. And you're like, people are 34 and having strokes. I think Steve was 35. maybe.
Oh yeah, Steve's a friend of Casey's.
Yeah, Steve had a...
He's super awesome.
He's super awesome. He had a significantly worse stroke 6 months after I had mine. And what did it mean? It meant that I had to rewrite my life. I mean, I was a copy editor. I could not find words anymore. It is important to be able to find words when one is a copy editor.
Yeah, that is very, very important to that job.
And so I remade myself kind of into a QA person. And then, because I had to have a job, but then when I just couldn't make any job full-time work because I would get migraines and I was really sensitive to light and I couldn't concentrate and just, everything was just very scrambled. So...
Did you go through occupational therapy or
no insurance
for it? Like,
good luck.
So you didn't get
study
Medicare or any...
Medicare kicked in
like way later.
A year afterward. So basically, there's a lot more information on stroke now versus 20 years ago. So there is a lot to say for neuroplasticity. We originally met because Danielle told Sharon to tell me to tell you about Dance of Shiva.
Yes.
Because that is good for neuroplasticity. So I did that, which is a movement therapy.
We've actually never talked about Dance of Shiva because we just
decided it wasn't for you.
Friends.
Yeah. But so I did things. I played Lumosity, the website.
Yeah.
For brain training. I read nearly all of the Storm of Ice and Fire, the fucking Game of Thrones guy.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really, really long books. I colored. But it was really hard because San Francisco is very, very loud, very, very crowded place.
It is a loud, crowded city.
When you're all of a sudden really, first of all, you're blind on this side briefly because your brain doesn't know what to make of the fact that you can't see anymore because your eye can still see. Your brain just doesn't know what to do with the information, so it kind of makes feels like a film. It's kind of over this eye for a while, for like a year. It was like there was something hanging out over there, but I couldn't see it because I literally can't see it, but my brain was used to having information from over there. Anyway, it was a long, slow process, and some days it just comes back. Shit comes back. I get migraines now that I didn't get before. I'm easily fatigued. I am really grateful for the fucking disability checks because I couldn't work a full-time job. But, like if you don't play within the system, like, I get disability checks because I was a good working child since I was 15. I got my first job, blah, blah, blah. And if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have these monies now.
Yeah.
And so,
And I just want to take a moment and say, because I don't think that people fucking get this, getting disability is not like winning the lottery. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, I get $780 a month. I get the maximum that I can get. That's it. You don't get what you were paid when you had a job.
Nope.
Huh. That would be
I
nice.
could not live on my own on what I get from disability. So that's something that I want to touch on a little bit later. But
well, and it's also something you paid into.
Yeah, I've paid into it. I had my first job when I was 14, and
Yeah.
I worked from the time I was 14 until I was 32 when I got hurt. I took off 5 years when I had my son, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
And he went back to school at the same time that he and his dad and I split up, and I started working again, which I always intended to go back to work when he went to school anyway. So, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and also it's not a fucking golden ticket, and it's not a free ride.
It's even less than unemployment insurance, right? Like, it's not great.
It's not. No, it's not. It's actually a little bit better, as I understand it, than Social Security.
Okay.
So, like, if you're old and like when I become of age to draw Social Security,
your benefits will go down.
My benefits will go down.
Yeah,
I'll actually be making less money.
Yep.
And they limit how much you can make outside of it. So, like right now, I do whatever side hustle I can. The maximum I can make is $900 a month. So I have to side hustle and try and find $900 a month through alternative sources if I want to play by the rules. And again, if I decide not to play by the rules, they'll take the money away from me.
Yep, if you get caught.
Or they'll just send you a bill that says, hey, you've been out of compliance for the last 6 months and now you owe us $6,000. And you're just like, God? Ooh?
Yeah.
Really not awesome.
No. But so
So I did my own. I pretty much did my own kind
You
of
only did
treatment,
your
my own
own
therapy.
therapy.
I quit drinking. I quit smoking. I was a drinker. I was a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
I quit both for a full year, which just makes everything else horrible. But they do put you on stacks of drugs afterwards, because you're probably going to be a little bit upset about things.
Yeah.
So they numb you down pretty well. But I had, tons of mini strokes or hospital visits for other reasons after that. And it's the gift that keeps on giving, Steve and I often say, because, I had some stomach problems, and then after my stroke, now pretty much anything that my stomach thinks it might not want is going to come back. I just throw up all the time. And
really, that's awful.
It's people are like, "Oh, you have digestive problems." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but right after after the stroke, if I get sick, I'm going to throw up. It's just going to happen." Mm-hmm. And now Dave knows that if he feels nauseated at all, he has to tell me, because if it's a sick that makes him nauseated, I will be vomiting, for the next several days, and I don't know why. And there are still times where I can't find words. I've gotten better at it. Dave used to really make me practice. I'd point at something and I would say the wrong word, and he would be like, "Nope, try again." And I was like, because when we got here, wheelbarrow. I couldn't think of the fucking word for wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
But just weird, random things. Oh, and things live in different places in my mind, like broom and shovel, because they're both a tool with a stick. Or when I tried to learn to speak Spanish, I started speaking French, because Language Center lives in the same place.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of shit gets re-scrambled if you're lucky enough to still have some brain afterward. And you just kind of make the best of what you can. And I guess I used to do a lot of explaining when it first happened. I was like, dude, I had a stroke, so if I say something and it doesn't sound like, if it didn't make sense in context, speak up, because I probably just said the wrong word and I don't know it. And I used to do that a lot, and I've just stopped doing it because I assume now that people know if I say something just completely wacko, they're going to look for clarification.
Yeah.
But, I can miss people, new people don't necessarily know that I have a stroke because I don't really present any of the standard
No, and
things.
you didn't have any paralysis did you have any paralysis with your stroke? No.
No, I got super lucky on that.
See, that's the shitty thing, though. No, it's not shitty that you didn't have paralysis, but also you don't look like you have anything wrong with you.
No.
Invisible illness for the lose.
Yeah.
I think that actually all three of us kind of deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
I have facial paralysis.
I didn't notice you had
When
it
I
until
look
I
in the
heard
mirror,
that you did.
that's
I was like,
all
what?
I see. I see the facial paralysis because my face doesn't look the way it did before.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've really struggled with
I bet.
for 10 years because there's a little bit of vanity, of course.
Well, it's your face, too.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People who didn't know me before don't look at me and think, what the fuck is wrong with
Yeah,
my
I
face?
had no idea. When I heard that you had facial paralysis, I'm like, have I seen her since this happened?
No,
yeah,
I
it was
didn't.
totally normal. What
I
happened?
was like, oh shit, no, is this new? What?
No,
Yeah.
but see, when I hate fucking pictures of myself, I hate it
Oh,
when people
I bet.
take pictures of me because
Ugh.
when I smile, my mouth is crooked and my eye squinches up, and I think I look like Sloth from the fucking Goonies. That's what I see in my head.
Oh man.
Which doesn't help because my brothers, my middle name is Ruth, and when that movie came out, my brothers went, Katie, Ruth, at me all the time instead of being Ruth because I didn't have facial paralysis then. But just to clarify, my brothers aren't total dicks.
No,
well,
but
they kind of are, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
But, so, backtrack a little bit. I had a very rare illness called Ramsay Hunt syndrome. Basically, what it is shitty luck. Because I got shingles in my inner ear and facial nerves, and mine traveled the length of my nerves to my brain because I had a delayed diagnosis. Because I was 32, 33 when I got sick. So, 33.
And is that young for that?
It's very young to have shingles.
Yeah, shingles is an old person thing.
Yeah. It's actually really not anymore, but yeah, it is. I get so paranoid because I want to make sure that that's recording. I think it is still recording. Okay. Yeah, I was 33, and they really they delayed my diagnosis. She didn't want to give me the diagnosis of Ramsay Hunt syndrome because the outcome is far more catastrophic than Bell's palsy, which is initially what I was diagnosed with. Bell's palsy is a very self-limiting disease. You have it for about a month, and it goes away. And actually, they believe that Bell's palsy now is caused from herpes simplex 1, so the cold sore virus.
Oh.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
I already have that.
Yeah.
I think. Right? Cold sore?
Everybody fucking has
Everybody has
some
it.
kind of herpes.
Yeah.
It's not a thing. But, so, then this went on for... I was explaining, like, kind of the symptom path. Like, mine started out as a kink in my neck. I had what I thought was an unrelated bout of some kind of stomach flu earlier, like a couple weeks beforehand. But this kink in my neck, but it was actually like I described it as feeling like something was boiling under my skin. It felt like things were crawling under my skin. And it just, like, if you've never had shingles, there's no way I can describe the shingles pain to you and make you understand how bad it hurts. The closest I can come to it, because mine was in my face, was if you have older dental work, if you've ever like bitten down on foil or a fork in a filling, but it doesn't go away. It's just constant zaps of that in your face all the time.
Oh, dude,
and
no.
in where the shingles are. It's horrific pain. I didn't sleep. Like, I couldn't sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I was just, and my husband was at a complete loss as to what to do for me. Like,
Yeah.
what do you do? Thankfully, when I got sick and initially came down with this, my son was on a 2-week camping trip with his dad and his dad's family. So it was kind of fucked up that and he says he doesn't remember this, but because he was about, I want to say he was like 10 when I got sick, because he turned 11 that summer. So basically he came home and I was
Different.
and I have had a lot of remarkable recovery as far as the facial paralysis goes. They never expected me to have this much recovery. Oh, shit. That's okay. We can hold for just 1 second.
Sorry. Continue. Facial paralysis.
Yes. So, I kind of forgot what I was saying about that.
Your kid was camping. He came back.
Oh yeah, my kid was camping. So he came back and my face was super paralyzed. And at the time, it was like my face was like the flesh was melting off of my skull. Like I had zero. My speech was affected. I had to, I kind of figured out this weird rig with an eye patch and tape to make my eye close at night because my eye couldn't close.
Oh man!
And so it hurt. Your eye was dry all the fucking time,
Oh
and I had to use these weird goopy drops that they call them drops, but it's kind of like. I don't even know how to describe it. It's shit that's like the consistency of like Neosporin, but it's saline.
Like an ointment.
It's like a saline ointment, yes, for your eye. Because...
Oh, you can't blink.
It can really damage your eye.
Yeah.
It will... And so, I still to this day have to go get yearly eye exams to make sure that... Because I have chronic dry eye. When the shingles, now you don't always see the shingles. I never saw the shingles on my ear because they were inside, but they did manifest themselves inside of my mouth and down my throat.
Oh God.
And I have had recurring bouts of shingles for 10 years. That is how my body reacts to too much stress now. And I get shingles, and recently here, about 6 months ago, I had a really bad recurring bout in my facial area again, and my paralysis got a little bit more prominent for a while, and it freaked me out. I got hysterical.
Oh, I bet.
But I kind of have this deal now with my doctor where I go, I can feel the shingles happening now because I've had them so many times. I know when they're coming. So my doctor just goes, okay, I'll call in your acyclovir. And I take absurd amounts of acyclovir. 800 milligram tablets, 2 of them, 3 times a day.
Is that an antibiotic?
No, it's an antiviral.
Antiviral.
But
Okay.
It's very hard on your liver. But it's that, or it significantly shortens the severity and the duration of shingles.
Awesome.
Also, and part of the reason that I have such lasting damage, the other drug that you take is prednisone in pretty high doses. I do not react well to prednisone. And so at the time when they diagnosed me incorrectly with Bell's palsy, I talked to my doctor and I'm like, look, I do not react well to prednisone. Like, I really, really honestly turned into a crazy person. I feel like I'm crawling out of my skin. Like, it's nuts. I get borderline homicidal. Like, it just does not, my body doesn't like it. And she said, well, in this case, hasn't really been shown to decrease the severity or time of Bell's palsy. So I'm just going to say don't take it. But actually, had I taken it in the beginning with the Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, it would have decreased the damage that I had. But by the time I got into a specialist to see what was going on, I had already was a month into this, and the doctor cried. He said, your damage is done. This is you. And I worked really hard at vestibular therapy because part of what happened is it destroyed the organ in my ear. I cannot remember the name of the organ. The organ in your ear that makes you balance. I call it my bubble level. It also did a little bit of damage to my brain in the part that talks to my ear. And I also have, because the muscles on the side of my face are still paralyzed, my eye doesn't focus the way it should or track movement the way it should. So rapid movement or a lot of commotion in my peripheral vision triggers vertigo. I had vertigo all the time when I first got this. And so I was pretty vomity a lot. And I couldn't walk. I use a cane. Now like I said, I worked very hard with vestibular therapy, which is a grueling, basically you're doing things that make you throw up because you're so dizzy over and over and over again until you train your brain not to react that way to them.
Wow.
And I did 2 sessions of it. I did what I could take, like what I could endure. And every time I see a new physical therapist for something else, they're like, oh, well, we can do vestibular therapy. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done with that. I've done enough. I've done it twice. I feel like I can live with where I'm at right now because it is a horrific process. But 10 years later, after that illness, I'm still left with what they call post-herpetic neuralgia, which means that I still have weird nerve damage pain. If I laugh really hard, like a ha ha ha, or like, you know the face you make when you're washing your face, like the I get this god awful Charlie horse in my jaw that runs up the side of my face.
Oh wow.
It's terrible. There's nothing they can do for that. I have hearing damage in my right ear, so I usually do okay unless it's in like a big crowd where people are talking, and then I just kind of pretend that I heard people and go, oh, which kind of gets me in trouble once in a while. Where I'll be like, no, I can tell by the look on your face that wasn't right. Okay. Wrong reaction, sorry. But, like you said, I tended to explain to people
a lot
of things because I was embarrassed about the way that I looked. I've had people come up and go, did you have a stroke? When it was really bad.
My God, it's so
like
rude.
Strangers in
What
a bar.
the hell?
Like, so did you have a stroke or something? Like, it's hard enough to get out of the house when you're recovering from this kind of stuff. Like, I can't drive anymore, so I take a lot of public transportation. I can't take, but even that, I can't go on routes where they don't have, like, sidewalks and benches. I, too, have run out of energy pretty easily. When your body's working so hard using different parts to make yourself stable and not fall over.
Right, it's using the parts it wasn't designed
to use. Yeah, it's using big muscles. Like, I use my core muscles and my back muscles, and I have a lot of body pain because of that still. And it's just as exhausting. You get exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
So,
totally.
You know, but luckily I did qualify for disability. I tried to go back to work like 4 or 5 different times. And at the time I worked at Planned Parenthood, and they were awesome, and they held my job for me for almost a year. They tried to give me a new job that had a lot more sitting, but ultimately I was falling down when I was in there, and my boss said we need to kind of figure out, because we have to hire someone. Like, we want you to work here. We want you to come back. If you feel like you can come back, and we're so excited and so happy to have you back because we all love working with you, but you have to come back or not. Mm-hmm. Part-time or full-time, it's your choice, but I just, in the end, could not do what I needed to do to maintain a job. So...
Well, I don't know if it's the same, but I suspect it probably is, where you don't necessarily know. Did you guys already talk about spoons? The whole spoon theory?
No.
No.
We haven't talked about spoons.
Oh my god, you don't know the spoon theory?
No.
I love when we get to introduce people to spoons.
Explain the spoon theory, because you are very good at it.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind.
So the woman who came up with the spoon theory, I can never remember her name, but she has lupus.
Okay.
Another invisible chronic illness that is debilitating. And she was trying to explain to one of her able-bodied friends what it is like
To not know what kind of energy you're going to have on a daily basis.
Yeah, this
and
is
to be
it. Like,
super limited.
I don't know how I'm going to feel from day to day.
Right.
Exactly. So that's where this is coming from.
Yeah, so they were in like a Denny's or diner or something, so she went around and she grabbed spoons off a bunch of different tables, and she was like, okay, friend, hold these spoons. And her friend was like, okay. So there's like 12 spoons. And she says, all right, so here's how your day works. You get up, get out of bed, right? And her friend's like, yeah. She's like, okay, give me one of your spoons. Okay, you take a shower in the morning usually? Oh, yeah. Okay, do you wash your hair? Okay, that's 2 spoons. Everything you do is going to cost a couple spoons. Oh, you got dressed after the shower. Awesome. Give me a spoon. And her friend's like, I'm running out. She's like, yeah. That's how my day is. I don't know how many spoons I'm going to get every day. And, like, sometimes I can borrow spoons from tomorrow, but I'm probably going to regret it. Mm-hmm. And eventually, like, you just, at some point in the day, you're going to be out of spoons.
And you
just can't
do
function.
anymore.
You can't do things. So
that's exactly how my day works.
So that's been adopted by a lot of the online chronic illness community, the expression out of spoons.
Now I'm going to tell Kurt about spoons, and he's going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I'm going to have to tell him that.
It's
There
handy.
you go.
Yeah, it's handy. The one thing I've run into that does make me kind of aggravated is some more able-bodied folks like to use, oh, I'm out of spoons, to mean that, like, they're tired. And I'm like, no.
That's not how it works.
That's not what that means.
When you're able-bodied, that means you have all the spoons.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, able-bodied people do get tired.
They do get tired, but it's not
being
the same.
tired is not the same.
As being so just done with. That's like.
Yeah.
Your body's just not capable of doing what you were used to doing before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want your body to still do those things.
Right.
Very much.
But it's like at the gym, right, when you lift, like you're lifting weights really hard, and you get to a point where, like, your brain tells your arm to lift the weight, and your arm is like, fuck you, like, I can't.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you're out of spoons, your whole body is like that.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, body, get up, we have to go to the bathroom. And body is like, nope.
You're going to have to hold this for
We're going to lay here.
Yeah.
Well, and you two both, like, I felt a little bit more comfortable. Like, I've had a bad few weeks. And really, I don't think people get that when you have a lot of additional stress and emotional turmoil in your life, it affects you physically, especially when you're struggling with physical disability or an illness. So I've just had a shitty couple of weeks. Actually, since I had that stupid boot on my foot, things have kind of, I got behind in housework. So you two have both now seen my house when I'm just...
You just can't.
Can't. And, like, seriously, my house stinks right now because I got dirty dishes in the sink. Because I just fucking can't.
Like, we are the last people on earth who are going to judge you
shit
for
about that.
That
Yeah.
says a lot to the level that our friendships have progressed, because a year ago I would have never in a million years let either of you in my house when it looked like that. I would have been like, no way. Because I don't want people to see my house like that.
I'm glad you feel comfortable enough.
Yeah.
I apologize still. I'm like, I'm so sorry, my house looks like
Well,
shit.
no, I almost sent out a text to both of you guys that said, okay, I scraped all the big chunks off, but I wouldn't recommend walking barefooted through my house.
Yeah.
So, the spoon thing. Okay, so my stroke happened 9 years ago. Your thing happened 10 years ago. When did you get diagnosed?
Yeah, we don't want to know
Successfully.
about your
Yeah,
diagnosis.
sure. So
Because yours is longer.
Well, I have a whole collection of bullshit chronic issues that make me crazy. So health stuff in general, like chronic health issues that Elsaid has. My mom was on an experimental diet when she was pregnant with me to try and keep my food allergies down because her family has a shit ton of food allergies and inhalatory allergies and just I don't think they're really meant to live here on Earth. A lot of the people in my family on my mom's side, we just shouldn't be here.
Different planet, probably?
Yes, someplace with
Less
not so
pollen
many
and not so many
just things in general. Just machines, anything that puts out any kind of emissions, paint,
Yeah.
So she was on a special diet that the family pediatrician thought would be helpful, and it was actually he wrote a paper about our family, which is pretty cool, and it did work. I have a handful of food allergies, but none of them are like anaphylaxis levels. They're all pretty low.
Cool.
I can get stung by a bee and not die. It's very exciting.
That is awesome.
Yeah. But my milk and chocolate allergies got pretty severe when I was in second grade, and I missed a bunch of school.
The worst allergy to have.
It was awful. And it was so bad that I missed school. Like, I was sick because of these food allergies. So once we figured out that that's what it was, then I was better. This was second grade. 6th grade or so, my knees started to bug me, which I guess is a common age for the issue that I had, because, like, when you're female, your hips widen when you start to hit puberty
starts.
and it changes the angle in your knees. And my knees were not great. I just didn't know it because they didn't hurt yet.
Right.
But once that angle kicked in, my knees were so done.
Your knees were like, no.
Yeah, so I had, I was diagnosed as having chondromalacia patellae, but that basically means your knees hurt.
Oh.
Like,
That's like saying you
Yeah.
have bursitis.
yeah, it's like, oh,
I have
you have a
inflammation.
pain. Right. But basically it means the tissue that runs, band of tissue that runs down the outside of your leg, the IT band, mine are too tight, and it was pulling my kneecaps out to the side, so I had like really knobby looking knees.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was grinding the cartilage, and
Ew.
my kneecap wasn't tracking correctly. So yeah, it was pretty bad. I saw every, I'm losing the word, whatever, the doctors you see for joints and bones problems.
Them guys.
Those guys, those specialists. I saw all of the ones that were in my insurance. One of them memorably told me to just not do things that hurt. I was like, but if I sit still for too long, my knees hurt. And if I walk around for too long, my knees hurt. Like,
Don't do
everything
anything
makes them hurt. Like, what? So Mom finally took me down to Curl and Job in LA, which is like this big specialty, like professional athletes go there. And there, finally, we got a doctor who said, look, your knees are basically going to suck for the rest of your life. Let's talk pain management. So I took
And
on
how old were you then?
anti-inflammatories. I was probably like 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
At this point, it took a couple of years to really get things sorted. So I learned about icing my knees. I did physical therapy. I got orthotics, which helped.
Yeah.
But basically, my knees were just bad. And I couldn't drink alcohol until I was in my 20s because I was taking basically prescription-strength ibuprofen, which is really hard on your stomach and liver.
Right.
In fact, the particular prescription I was on in college, I had to get my liver panel done like once a year to make sure my liver wasn't failing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how hard it was on the liver.
I believe you.
Yeah. So, as all of this stuff was happening, I was still super active. Like, my family is very rough and tumble. I grew up riding horses, and then I always had some other thing I did. So, like, I did ballet when I was little, and then I did gymnastics, and then I got into martial arts. I was on a swim team in high school. So I was like super, super active. And I'm very familiar with pains, like knee pain, all kinds of pain. Migraines run in the family. I got headaches a lot. I didn't get full-on migraines until I was in college, but when they showed up, I knew what they were. Because,
That's solid.
Thank you, family.
Yeah, thanks.
So finally, let's see. I didn't get any new diagnoses for quite a while. I had an ovarian cyst in 2002.
Boy, those are fun.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we
and
talked about your ovarian cyst,
yeah,
didn't we,
it
on
had
the
teeth.
show?
It had teeth.
Oh, yeah, yours had
So
teeth.
jealous
Yeah.
that yours had teeth.
And I had to have big surgery because it was like the size of a grapefruit, so they couldn't just do it laparoscopically.
Right.
So I have like a cesarean section looking scar.
Didn't you lose
pretty
like 10 pounds or something?
I don't have like an actual number, but the shape of my belly changed. And to this day, the right side of my belly sticks out a little differently than the left because it was on my left ovary.
Right.
And we don't know how long I had it. I had it for a long time, clearly, and just everything kind of grew around it. And yeah,
Weird.
Yeah. So somewhere around probably 2004 or 2005, I was super stressed out. I was paying, my student loans were really high. I finally managed to get a full-time job as a technical writer thanks to my dad. So I got to not have 6 freelance / part-time gigs, which is what I had been doing. I was super stressed. Everything was really crazy. And yeah, I remember quite vividly one day I was walking between the cubes at work and I was like, I'm really sore. I'm not sure why. Like, I didn't work out yesterday, but I ache. And I realized that I couldn't remember a day, like what was the last day when I didn't ache everywhere. I was like, that seems bad, right? Like, that's not normal. Usually when I'm sore, it's because I, like, did a long trail ride or I fell off my horse.
Right.
You know. So they had
swam 20 laps.
Yeah. So they had a program at the place where I worked where we did yoga at lunch twice a week, which was really great.
Cute.
But as like my day-to-day achiness was getting worse, yoga started to hurt. Like a lot. And I'm pretty physically oriented, so I was like, maybe I'm doing something wrong? Like,
Yeah.
I know what this is supposed to be like. So I talked to my teacher, and he was like, no, your conformation is perfect. Like, your technique is excellent. If you're in that much pain, you have to go to a doctor. When I see you next week, you better have an appointment. Like, he was super serious.
Wow.
Yeah, because, I mean, we're talking, like, it hurt so bad I thought I was going to cry. And, like, I have pain tolerance out the wazoo.
Right.
So I went to see my GP. And my GP said, oh, I'm going to just prescribe you some anti-inflammatories. And I'm like, ha. No. Like, I take anti-inflammatories by the handful.
Right.
At this point, I was no longer on the prescription ones for my knees. But you can take up to 12 200 milligram ibuprofens a day, which for a while I was actually doing on the regular.
I
You can do that.
had the 800 milligram ones.
Right. So,
I
like,
think my tummy's bad.
Well, you have to take them
yeah,
with food
you have to eat.
and not drink.
But yeah, so I told my doctor, I'm like,
Right.
look, if over-the-counter anti-inflammatories could touch this, I wouldn't be talking to you.
Right.
I mean, because nothing I took helped. Nothing. Like, I tried all the different... Because, I mean, my family, right, we're big on, we know what pain meds are for what things. And,
That's
know,
why
we're
you have the
very
Excedrin and the ibuprofen and the...
Yeah, like
the
aspirin.
naproxen.
Yeah, right. So she sort of blinked at me. But, I mean, one advantage of seeing a million doctors in middle school is that I got a lot of practice, so I'm not super scared of them.
And you know how to advocate for yourself
Right.
and ask questions.
Right.
And
I feel very fortunate that my mother, who has what is euphemistically called a strong personality, she is the one who took me around to all the doctors, and she was not about to put up with her kid getting told, like,
we
just
walk
don't
it
do what
off
hurts.
for you.
Yeah, figure it out. Like, so my doctor sent me to a rheumatologist. Thankfully, I feel deeply grateful because this was 2006. Nobody really knew about fibro. It
2006?
Yeah. Like, fibro was not a big, well-known...
Well, here's the thing.
Like, if you run around in chronic illness circles, if you know people with chronic illnesses, yes. But, like, that was still the era
I knew
when...
several people who claimed to have it then. And this is what I'm going to say about this, and this is why I'm so glad that you were talking about this. I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second because
She already did.
I, like everybody else, like a lot of people, used to really think that fibromyalgia was a bunch of fucking bullshit. Because, and this is why, I think that there's not a test that you can take.
There is, actually. But
There is now.
People
Well,
don't know.
I think that in the early days of the internet, it was easy for people to look up the symptoms of fibromyalgia
Yeah.
and go into their doctor and say they had this set of symptoms.
Or CFS.
Yeah.
And get these diagnoses when they really... Look, I'm just going to say it. The people that I knew that had it in the early 2000s were fucking, and still are, batshit fucking crazy drug addicts who wanted to work the fucking system so they didn't have to have a fucking job.
So they were trying for disability.
They were trying
for
for this
disability
game
assignment.
of trying to get disability, and they finally found a thing that at the time was nondescript enough that they could do it. And since this time, I now know people like you, and I have an aunt who was recently diagnosed with fibromyalgia after not being able to figure out what the fuck they thought she had lupus for a while. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap.
I think people need to understand that this is a thing, and it's real.
It is a chronic illness, and it does in fact exist.
And I
Yes.
think that while, yes, there are people who take advantage of the system, there are people who do that everywhere.
Oh yeah,
Always.
for
everything.
plenty of different diseases.
So,
Shit, I have a friend had a friend who started having babies because it was easier than
Yeah.
getting a job.
so there are always those people, and I think that it's very shitty.
Well, they make us all look bad.
But I think it's shitty to judge other people based on. You shouldn't judge other people.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you're speaking about this because I actually know LSA to be a very, very hard worker and a very over the fucking, like, she's like we are. Like, you take on a million things and you are intelligent and talented, and you're not like a fucking lazy asshole that wants to sit around. And I don't think she doesn't get disability. So
No, I don't.
she
No.
still works. So anyway,
Yeah.
continue on this. I just wanted to have
No
that little
worries.
rant because
Yeah.
I feel like people need to know this.
Yeah, well, yeah, and like fibro can manifest in a number of different ways. I'm fortunate that I have a fairly mild case, is the simplest way to say it. But yeah, so the rheumatologist gave me the tender point test, which is, I believe, still the
It's
only
still what they do, yeah.
that's the only way that you can really diagnose
Okay.
fibro. So the tender point test is there are 18 spots on the body where your doctor presses with their fingers on the spot. And if it hurts a whole bunch, that's like a positive mark. Like, oh, check, that
And
spot
by
is
hurts
real.
a whole bunch, it makes you jump off the fucking table.
Oh, yeah,
when people
like,
push
it's
you.
not like, oh, ow. It's like, I seriously, I thought she was like digging her knuckle into me. Like, it hurt really bad. And she was smart enough to do other spots besides the tender points. And those didn't hurt. The tender points hurt, almost all of them for me. There are 18, and I want to say all but maybe one were
Wow.
bad for me. So she was like, well, I'm sorry to tell you that you have fibromyalgia. There isn't really a treatment for it.
Let's talk pain management.
Yeah, basically. But there was no pain management because no over-the-counter meds or prescription meds touch it for me. Opiates don't touch it for me.
Well, and I
Right.
feel like,
Like,
is that a lot of nerve pain? Is this what
They're still
fibromyalgia-
not
are they
sure.
still not sure? Because,
yeah.
like with the shingles shit for me,
Oh, yeah.
there's not a pill that fixes nerve pain.
Right.
There's an experimental, what's it called? I can't think of the name of it. There are a couple of experimental drugs for nerve pain,
Right.
but I don't think insurance covers them because they're not.
So it's off-label prescription.
There
a
is an
lot of times.
off-label prescription,
Yeah.
and they don't fucking work.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So, I mean, there
I'm
are
just-
people with fibro where pain medications do help them with some of their pain. I'm not sure how much of it is like, oh, there's nerve pain and then there's secondary pain.
Yeah.
Because when you hurt
Because they
really
still don't
bad.
know a lot about
Yeah.
what it is, right?
Right. But like when you have pain, it makes your muscles tight. And
Yes.
oh, it's funny how this works. When your muscles are tight, they hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Because you get the pain with the pain.
right. And you wind up with this like self-reinforcing loop of terribleness. But yeah, so the doctor told me to look into like stress reduction and basically cleaning up what I ate and taking better care of myself. So a couple of years later, I found a medical center that specialized in chronic health problems, and they had a nutritionist, a regular like internal physician, like internal medicine physician, some chiropractors, and some physical therapy people, all working in this one center, and they would all work together with you. So like I did a 6-month restriction diet where I basically couldn't eat hardly anything, and then we added things back in one at a time to see what I was allergic to.
So the allergies tie into the fibro?
Basically, anything that stresses your body in any way affects fibro.
Okay.
The more stress you have, the worse your pain is. At least that's how it works for me.
Okay.
And stress can be caused by stuff you eat that your body doesn't like, not getting enough sleep, getting not enough exercise or too much exercise. Like what kinds of medications you take.
Yeah.
All kinds of things, emotions, right? So I was working in Silicon Valley and
Oh,
pretty
God.
stressed out. Yeah. So I worked with that health center for quite some time, and they helped me get a lot of it under control. In fact, to the point that I tried to get into a study for fibro. I believe, looking back now, that they were testing Lyrica, which is
That's the drug
one of the
I was trying to
things.
think
Yeah,
of,
it's one of the things that gets prescribed for fibro now. But my pain wasn't bad enough to get in. Like, they wanted a daily pain level of like 7 on the 0 to 10 scale, and I was at like 4 most days. So I would get to 7 on flare days, where, like, everything hurts. But yeah, so, and that doctor told me, I got to speak with, like, the doctor who was running it. She interviewed me, and she told me that with fibro, there are basically 2 kinds of patients. There are the people like me, where we're crazy overachievers, type A, like, we push ourselves way too hard, and we wind up with fibro, and we still try to do all the things. And so our pain levels are lower, and we do a lot more. And then there are the people who have fibro so bad that, like, the weight of their clothes on their skin is painful. Like, they can't do anything, basically. Like, they're practically housebound.
Jenny Ryan.
Yeah.
Cranky fibro girl.
Yep. She's awesome. And
She's
her,
awesome, yeah.
her fibro is like that.
Yeah. Like,
Oh my
when she
God.
came to Portland, she was like, what does this town have against ice? I was like, everybody pretends we don't have summer. She's like, I just need some fucking ice. She was trying to get it from a McMinimans.
Oh.
Yeah. There are no ice machines there.
So yeah. But yeah, so the doctor said that they don't know, like, if people like me do more because we have less pain, or if we have less pain because we do more. We don't know. There's so much we don't know about fibro. But
Well, and I feel like
That's where I'm
even
at.
in recent years that fibromyalgia is getting more serious attention.
yes. For a long time, people who have fibro just got told it's all in your head.
Yeah.
Like, you should go to therapy. It's mostly diagnosed among women, and as we were talking about earlier today, women's pain is not taken seriously by the medical establishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which can be very frustrating. I will say the rheumatologist who diagnosed me was a woman. I don't know if that helped, but she was really great. So since my fibro diagnosis, I have managed to develop a handful of other things, health-wise, which are quite annoying. Fibro is correlated with a ton of shit. IBS, interstitial cystitis, which is where the lining of your bladder gets attacked by your immune system.
Well, that sounds terrible.
It sucks. I have a very mild case of it, thank God. Mild. I am so blessed. Like, I am really lucky. I just want to say that super clear. The fact that I'm not on disability is an indication that I am lucky. The conditions I have, a lot of people wind up on disability.
Yeah.
And really, if I'm honest, I don't think I could do a regular 9-to-5 job anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I work in tech, where you can kind of set your own hours, and as long as you get all your work done, nobody cares. You know, so I
you
can
can
take
work in
days
spurts
when I have
and
to.
take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way I have to do everything.
Because, yeah, like, day to day, I don't know. Sometimes I wake up and everything hurts so bad that, like, I get out of bed and I start making noises. And, you know, like, Nate just looks at me and is like, you should go back to bed. You're flared, aren't you? And I'm like, I can do some things. And he's like, no. Go to bed.
You know, it's funny, like, this is kind of off topic, but not, because you just reminded me, one of my very best friends has breast cancer. She just had a double mastectomy yesterday. And I went in to see her yesterday afternoon, in the early evening, actually, and she was, I sat in the room with her while they got her up to go to the bathroom for the first time.
Oof.
Which she said, you don't realize how much you use your chest muscles for,
Yeah.
because she's not supposed to really be using her arms right now very much.
Right.
But even just, she said, lifting your neck or moving your head, your chest is involved in that, and you don't realize that. But
Yeah.
she told me, she looked at me very seriously, and it was so cute and so funny, because she goes, I made a decision about this before I ever got here. And I'm like, okay, what's that? She goes, I'm not going to do that thing that we do when I'm recovering. And I'm like, which thing is that? And she said, I'm not going to just decide, oh, they told me I could do this, so I can probably do this and this too. And I just think it's funny, because you said something that triggered that. Like, you just kind of have to do what you can do and learn to temper yourself and not push yourself. And because that's the way I work, that's the way my friend works too. I don't want to be sitting around.
No.
And I still do that to myself.
It's tough.
I have what I call cleaning tantrums.
Yeah.
When my house has been a little bit messy because I haven't been able to keep up for too long, I have this thing where I, for 2 days, will absolutely push myself to the absolute fucking end of my physical abilities and a little bit beyond. And then I'm like broken for days.
Yep.
But it's because I couldn't fucking stand it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and people say, well, maybe you should just do a little bit every day. It's like sometimes a
sometimes you
little
can't
bit
do
isn't
any.
a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to not do.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn, and I'm sure you and you have both had to learn,
Mm-hmm.
it's taken me a decade almost to negotiate this little dance with my body and learn to understand when my body is like, nope.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, some days I have days where I'm so dizzy I fall. Like, I am a fall risk, and it's not awesome.
No.
Like, but, so these are things that we have to, like, I'm just trying to paint a picture, an accurate picture for people
Mm-hmm.
who don't
Yeah.
deal with this kind of crap. Nothing is simple anymore.
Right. Yeah, the thing I often use when people are like, so what's it like? What's fibro like? Like, what does that feel like to have it? And I'm like, okay, so you know when you're really sick, like you have the flu or something, and you ache, like everything hurts, your whole body hurts, and they're like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, and your brain gets fuzzy, you know, like you can't think super well because you're so sick, and you feel so shitty, like you can't string coherent thoughts together, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, that's what every day is like for me. Most of the time, I'm very fortunate. I figured a lot of shit out. My levels now are pretty low. But most of my body hurts every day.
You have flu aches.
Yeah.
Like flu aches.
Yeah.
Every day.
I am slightly cognitively impaired every day. Which I don't show it a whole lot, apparently. Like most people.
You don't look sick.
Right. Well, and I mean, like people that I've worked with where I've actually talked about it, I'm not like out as having fibro in like my work life. I don't talk about it because I don't want to have to explain it. That people don't get it. They don't.
Yeah.
Either a boss isn't going to take it seriously, or they're going to be like, well, then we shouldn't have you, like, you shouldn't work here because you're not reliable or whatever. So I don't talk about it that much. But like people I work with are like, you seem fine. Like your work is fine, and I'm like, I know. I used to do better.
That's the killer.
I used to be like an honor student. I used to, you know,
I
did
used
all
to
the
be spell
things.
check.
Yeah.
I can't be spell checking anymore. I mean, it's nice because the internet's there, but I really liked being spell check.
Yeah. And one thing I run into, at least with my family, well, like when I first was diagnosed, I mentioned it to my mom that I had fibro, and she was like, "Oh, you know, you just get achy as you get older." And I'm like, "Ma, I'm 26. I'm pretty sure
That doesn't count.
this is a little
These
early.
are the golden years for your body. Like this is
Yeah.
this is your shit. Like these are. It's
I should
on.
be fine,
Yeah.
and I'm not fine."
You should be made of rubber at 26.
Right. And I mean, like, as I have aged, things have gotten worse. Like, I'm limited. Part of the reason I don't have a ton of pain now is I know not to do stuff.
Yeah.
I had to give up Aikido, which I started in high school and trained pretty regularly, like, all the way through college and after college. And I reached a point where I would get on the mat for class and I would injure myself. Like, I would take a wrong fall, or I would hit my head, or, you know, something would I'd wrench my knee, and so then I couldn't train for like a week or two, and then when I would go and get back on the mat, I would hurt myself. Like, I would get like 1 or 2 classes, and then I'd have to take time off.
Again.
And it's really demoralizing. So now
That's a
I
very
do...
good word.
Thank you.
Demoralizing.
Yeah, so now I do Tai Chi, and even that, like, my knees have been acting up a lot the last few weeks, and I haven't been able to go because my knees hurt. In Tai Chi, you have to bend your knees. I'm like, I don't really think I should be on my feet for an hour and a half bending my knees. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to sit here and ice them instead. And it
There's
it
also-
takes a toll.
I've heard that,
Sucks.
and maybe you can speak to this. Is there, have you noticed a correlation between the heat and flare-ups? Do you flare more than when it's hotter out?
I think I do. Yeah, like I haven't looked at... I do track my symptoms pretty closely, but I haven't sat down and like looked at the heat index.
Yeah.
And then looked at my symptoms. But yeah, I think the heat does make it worse. I'm better with cold. I can just put more clothes on when I'm cold, but like when you're hot, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
And your body regulating your internal temperature, that's stress.
Stress.
Haha! So when your body's trying to keep yourself cool, Like that's a stress on the body. Trying to keep warm is also a stress, but it is way easier to
I
keep
think
yourself
that's
warm.
why I have
Yeah.
like, I always laugh and say that I have like reverse seasonal affective disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Because
totally have that.
I get depressed in the summer.
I get depressed
Yep.
in the summer.
I think that I didn't used to when I was younger. I didn't get down like this in the summer. I think that part of it is that it is so much harder on my body to function when it's hot.
Yeah, just to get around because
Mhm.
I mean, you have to use your cane. You know, you have to you move more slowly. You need the sidewalks. You need the stairs. You need the accessibility things. Everything is that much harder in the
Yeah.
summer because
No, it
you know
is.
it's fucking hot.
And I've also noticed
Nobody tells you about the Portland
No.
summer.
No.
Portland summers.
It's like this-
it's real.
It's real. Don't come here. It sucks.
I've also noticed that I stay because summer's just busier in general, especially tourist wise for Portland
Yeah.
and stuff, and just people being out. Commotion and crowds and movement in my peripheral vision and stuff are all very difficult for me to deal with. Again, I've learned coping mechanisms. I've learned, for instance, I've learned how to fall correctly.
Oh yeah, tuck and roll.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tuck
That's a
and roll,
thing.
and sometimes I swing my big ass around when it's a slow fall and make sure that I land on my
On the
ass.
padding. Yeah.
And because when we first moved into the house that we live in now, so the stairs that go upstairs to my studio,
Pretty steep.
there are also stairs that are equally at an equal pitch that go downstairs to the basement. Only those stairs are unfinished. They're like just they don't have backs and they're not carpeted. They're just wood stairs. When we first moved into that house, I was growing some tomatoes because you can't get to our yard, access our yard unless you go to the basement and go through the back door or go around the side of the house to the gate that I can't reach the latch on because I'm too fucking short. So I went down the stairs and I had clippers in this hand for clipping. I was going to clip back some of my tomatoes, and I had in my right hand, people, because you can't see this hand when I hold it up, and I had my camera in my left hand because I was going to take pictures, and I was wearing pants that were a little bit too big, and I was, because you know when you have a balance problem, going down the stairs without using the railing is always an awesome idea. And I do this weird sidestep thing to get down the stairs because I can't look down.
Oh yeah.
Or I
I
get dizzy. Yeah, I have to turn sideways and face a wall and step at it, do a
do a little crab walk.
little crab walk because it gives me vertigo to look downstairs like that. Upstairs, I can go up them all day, except for that I fall upstairs all the time. But anyway, my pants fell down because they're too big, and I had my hands full, and they fell down in the middle of a step, and I fell from about 4 steps down all the way to the cement basement floor. And I landed on my hip, and all I could think to do was, I'm holding a sharp thing, and I threw it because I didn't want to stab a thing in my eye or something.
Yeah.
So I threw that, and I put my camera to my chest because I didn't want to break my camera. And I went all the way down. Like, I launched. Oof. And I missed these stairs, and I landed with my hip. And I had a bruise from almost to my knee to my armpit. Because I hit so hard. So I don't garden in the backyard anymore. I don't go down to the basement stairs when no one's home. I don't shower most days when I'm home alone. Because even though I have a rail in my shower, like a handicap rail that I use, I still, if I'm getting in or out, if I slip and fall, I'm home alone.
Yeah.
Like, my dog's not going to help my ass up off the floor. Actually, my dog is not helpful at all when I fall down.
Like the
because
opposite of helpful.
Well, he gets hysterical and he nips me in the butt. Like, Mommy, get off the floor. What are you doing down there? Like,
Wow. Thanks, Duda.
yeah, he's not a big help. But I don't even know why I was going off on that. I was just...
Oh,
I just-
that is one thing I noticed after. Well, Dave gave me an iPhone for the Christmas that I had my stroke, and then I had my stroke, 3 days later. So I'm in the hospital with brain damage, trying to figure out an iPhone. Not as user friendly as one might think, but it eventually, now the phone is like a safety net for me. Like, I don't go anywhere in this house without having my phone nearby because I don't know when I'm gonna hurt myself. And I mean, after the stroke, it just became like this long litany of stupid other shit Like, I got giardia from a lake. I broke my ribs when my scooter tried to kill me. I broke my foot stepping off a curb. Totally like you. Like, I stepped off a curb, boom, broken.
That is not awesome. You
No.
misjudge the death.
You know, and then
more
so
shit
you've
like
got
that
all of these
happens
other
because
things.
your balance.
Right, because my balance is wrong and my vision is wrong, and so then I have all these other things, which is why I know how to tuck and roll now, because I fall so often.
Yeah. Oh, that's what.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing, because I didn't have the
learn.
I didn't have the rehab, so nobody noticed that my brain had stopped talking to my left foot until I broke my left foot in Portland after moving here in 2010.
Damn.
So several years later, the podiatrist, because now I have Medicare, so I actually got some rehab on my broken foot. Lady was like, she watched me walk. She's like, "This part is about the broken part. This other part, that's from your stroke." I'm like, So she had me marching around town going, left, 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 right, left, right, 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 right. That's my right foot. There it is. She's like, your brain just forgot that your feet were there. You have to remind
I
it.
think Casey and Elisa, you're both like me in that we kind of choose to deal with things with humor.
Mm-hmm. Well, dude, if I don't laugh, I would not get out of bed.
Yeah.
This shit is so depressing.
I think that people play it down, though. I think that, see, this is where I get into struggles with my family and with my husband and with my son, is because I don't want to live every single day complaining about every single thing that I feel. Mm-hmm. If I complained about not feeling well, all I would do is fucking complain. If I complained about having, like, I let people know when I'm having a bad day. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm having a day where my balance is so bad, because I have allergies and my ears fill with fluid a lot, and that is not
not awesome for walking.
And here's the thing: when you have a physical disability or a chronic illness, when you have other things, it only makes that worse. So my allergies, I can't take anything with a decongestant because the permanent nerve damage that I have, I do not salivate or make mucus like normal people do. So if I take a decongestant, I have hard balls of rubber cement stuck up in my sinuses that won't come out. And my eyes get even drier.
Oh, man.
Like, I can't do that. I have, it's called synciness or symbiosis, when all those delicate nerves are trying to heal. Sometimes they heal together. So instead of my mouth salivating when I am eating something savory, my eye waters. Like if I eat a good steak and it looks like I'm crying, it's because it's good. Like we joke about it though. I say, "Ooh, my eye is salivating again," because those signals are crossed. But I have more dental problems because I have chronic dry mouth. Mm-hmm. So if I chip a tooth, I have to go get it taken care of immediately. I don't have dental insurance because Medicare does not fucking cover dental.
No.
So I have to wait until it gets really bad and then go to the fucking county poor people dentist where they just pull the motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because that's all they'll do.
Or every 2 years you get dental insurance, go and get your teeth checked up, get everything done, and then cancel your dental insurance.
Yeah, I haven't done that trick yet. Maybe that's what I should do.
You can do it about every 2 years.
But yeah, I mean, I think that part of the reason that I wanted to do this is I don't talk a lot about it. I know you guys don't talk a lot about it. And I feel like people don't really get it, especially when you try to act like nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
People don't fucking get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to live a normal life. I have friends that aren't really my friends anymore. Just because I spent so many years canceling and doing things. And now I've learned to not commit to things. If it's something that I have to commit to, I'm probably not going to do it. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if I'm going to feel well enough to go to do your thing that's a month and a half out that you've invited me to. Mm-hmm. Or even a week out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Granted, because we learn coping mechanisms, and we learn ways to get around, and we learn our little tricks and our little things that we do, I have now am able, after 10 years of doing this, to enjoy more things. Bless you. And go out and do more things. But there are still, like, Kurt and I met at a Flogging Molly concert. I love grungy, grody, dirty punk rock shows. I used to get in the pit. I have not seen the Dropkick Murphys. I have not seen Floggy Molly. Like, I haven't seen any of the bands. Like, we quit going to shows for years because
It was too hard.
I couldn't handle the crowd. Like, the people moving around me. And I just couldn't do it. Like, it was physically... Like, I've been to a couple of shows and I was just like, I can't do that again. But now, I'm learning I'm also more comfortable with my disability. Like, I refused to use a cane for the first year. I refused to use a cane until I fell down in Fred Meyer in the middle of a bunch of people and had people crowding around me to make sure I was okay. And then decided when I got home, well, that was probably way more embarrassing than just using a cane.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I now know, okay, well, if I walk with my right side towards a wall, or I ask people when I'm with them if they can please walk on my left side and not my right side, and I've learned to be okay with that. But, and sometimes I just discreetly move myself around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I used to have people walk on my right side because I was like, then I know you're there. I don't have to worry about anything else because you're a barrier between whatever I might be walking into.
I can't have people moving on this side of me, so I have to have people, I just say not the cane side.
Fair
I
enough.
just walk on the... But this, even in the medical... Dealing with medical professionals, like 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I had to have a bone spur removed from my ankle. I had so much trouble getting these fucking people in the orthopedic surgeon's office to understand that I have a balance problem. So when I can't put all my weight on my foot because it hurts from a fucking surgery, it is going to make my balance problem substantially more difficult to deal with. And I said, I'm probably going to need a walker for the first couple of days. No one would fucking order me one. And they said, the doctor said, just use the cane that you have. What the fuck? But I'm not using that cane that I have. I'm using for something else. It's doing a job for me that's not
covered by what
yeah
new thing is.
Like, and I did fall after my ankle surgery. I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. I fell down. My mom was staying with me. Kurt and my mom had to help me up because it's on the front of my ankle. When you get up on your hands and knees, you can't.
Right,
like,
you have to fold your foot.
Yeah, it was a shit show getting me up off the floor in a way that didn't hurt my ankle.
Yeah,
wow.
And
what a nightmare.
And it's because, and even when I did my heel injury here last month, I stepped off a curb too hard because I lost my balance and I basically fucking Hulk stomped. I'm surprised there wasn't a goddamn punch mark in the fucking concrete for how hard I stepped down. All in an effort to not fall into the fucking crosswalk when I was crossing the street and roll around on fucking Beaverton Hillsdale Highway in the middle of traffic. But I went in and I had to have that boot. And I'm like, okay, look, this is the deal. I have a balance problem. This is going to throw me off. And they're like, just use your cane. And I said, this cane is not for that.
Yeah.
This cane is because I have a balance problem. They're not equipped to deal with multiple situations. That's their specialty.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they see disability. And it's demoralizing, frankly, to have to fight for that. Especially from medical professionals. But especially from, like, I continually have to remind my mom when I say I'm really tired. She's like, why? We didn't do anything. And it's not, or I have to remind my husband, I can't do this. Or when you're reminding, or, my in-laws who mean well, but my mother's like, well, you'll never get better if you don't try. And I'm like,
I'm not gonna get better. This is a chronic issue.
I've worked hard to be okay with where I am. And where I am is okay. I have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to fucking be okay with it. I'm tired of explaining, it's difficult. And none of us, like I said, I use a cane, yes, but actually, I have found my cane makes me invisible in public.
I had that problem. I used one for my knee. People would walk right into me.
Kick the cane right the fuck out from underneath you, trying to get around you because you're not moving fast enough.
It's crazy.
Somehow it makes you invisible.
Yeah, it does.
Dave got the total opposite with his back injury.
Yeah.
He got an extra donut on donut day.
What?
Yeah, him with his fucking cane walking up to the clubhouse. People were giving him all kinds of extra help because he had the cane.
I would be interested to see a study. I wonder if it's a women with canes versus men with canes.
I don't know because I've had to
Kind of
ask
thing.
for help.
Oh yeah, 'cause when I have a cane, nobody can see me.
No.
Like going grocery shopping on a cane is a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
It's just
Or trying to drive that stupid thing when you have crutches
Oh, yeah, I
like
get
up the
that.
side. Or I was in Fred Meyer and the cart died.
oh no.
And I'm just sitting in the middle going, help someone.
Yeah.
I'm trapped.
So how do we help people do better in dealing with their friends and family members who wrestle with physical disabilities and chronic illness? Like I kind of want to bring this back around to something useful to put out there for people.
Right.
How do we help people do better? How do we?
For me, like the stuff I've experienced and that I've heard about from other people, when able-bodied people are the most dickish without meaning to be, like they mean well, right? But they're being dicks. Sometimes it's because they forget, which is what it sounds like is you having with your like family stuff.
Yeah.
Like, "Why are you tired?" That's just being forgetful and lame, like that. But people get anxious because they can't fix it.
Right. Oh, that is a big thing.
Like when I talk with somebody and they're telling me problems that they're having, I immediately in my head, like I get this big list of things. So I'm like, I want to help. I want to help. And like people want to help, but you can't, right? I mean, chronic illnesses. It's right in the name, chronic. It's not like, oh, I have a cold. I can take more vitamin C and get bed rest, and I'll get better faster, and I will eventually be better.
Yes.
Right? My fibro is not going anywhere.
No.
I mean, if anything, I will probably only get worse from here on out as I age.
No, and
my brain cells are not growing back.
No,
right.
And I do want to say that people should keep their fucking dietary advice.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go.
Into their own little fucking world, because that is not helpful.
Right.
And
it's a fixing thing. They're like, when I stopped eating gluten, I felt so much better, or whatever. And at least for me,
fuck off with that.
I have tried all the things.
Yes.
I was gluten-free for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, I've done all of the things.
Yes.
And, I mean, people want help, and I get that. I have had to learn, when I'm listening to somebody talk about a problem, I will get ideas. Oh, I bet if they did this, it would help. But, like, I used to just be like, oh, you should do this. Da-da-da-da. But you should are, like, the demon words.
The shoulds.
Never say that to somebody who's complaining to you.
Yes.
I try to say, I have a couple ideas. Like, do you want to vent? Or, like, if you just want to vent, I will totally listen. But if you want, like, I have some thoughts.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Ask. It's hard. And I had to learn to be uncomfortable. And I think that's a lot of stuff that's going on in our culture right now. People don't want to be uncomfortable.
No.
Which, I understand.
It's
uncomfortable.
Being uncomfortable is yucky.
Yeah, it's not fun.
It's in the name.
Right.
That's why words mean things.
So I think it's better for people, like when you're trying to talk to somebody with chronic illness and they mention that they're not feeling great, say things like, "Wow, that sucks," or like, "That sounds hard," right? Like empathy type things,
right?
Like, how can I help?
Yes,
is it a good thing?
Yes,
like,
or what can I do to help?
Yeah,
open-ended questions,
right?
Not can I help?
Yeah,
because if you're in
if
you're in a grumpy, hurty place, you're just gonna be like, no, go away.
Yeah, the way you can help is by not talking to me.
Yes,
and sometimes that is the way.
Right,
you can help.
and
like,
you can say
sometimes
that
is what we need.
Just give me some space.
Like,
I need a rest.
But yeah, like, don't give medical advice. I don't want to hear about your cousin's friend who like started eating a magic fruit and grew an extra limb. Like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I have my own medical professionals. Like, don't don't advise me. If you don't have an MD and specialize in my health issues, don't try to advise me. Ask. Because, you know, I have sometimes gone, like, on social media and been like, I have X issue. What do y'all recommend?
Yeah.
If somebody is asking, that is the time to be
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh, well, I have found blah, blah. Right? But yeah, like, as uncomfortable as it is for you to listen to how hard of a time chronically ill people are having, it's like a million times harder for the person who's actually ill.
Yeah.
So take a sec, like take a breath and be like, I feel really uncomfortable. It is even worse for them. I will try not to be a dick.
Yes. I think don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Really covers it.
Yeah.
Because, like, we're, you know, especially, you know, like, she's probably, gesturing at Katie, is probably the most visibly, you know, with the cane, of the three illnesses.
Yeah.
But even that, people assume that people ask me what I did with my leg, what happened to my leg,
Right.
what happened to my foot,
how
do you have
about
a bad
don't
knee?
ask.
Like,
Don't ask about people's medical shit.
Well,
just
how
don't
about we
do
just-
it.
You know, there's that whole thing of, I don't know, there's some meme going around, you know, that everybody's fighting a battle that you don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
So
just know that.
Just assume
Yeah.
that everybody has shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be medical, and it might be physical, or it might be whatever. So just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And if they ask for your help, then try and help.
Yeah. And believe people.
Believe them. Yes.
Yes.
If they say it
Oh.
hurts, then it hurts.
Yeah.
Really?
You don't know better.
Yes. You don't get to pick their
Yeah.
pain level.
And you know, like some people, sure, some people will totally lie about
Yes.
their shit. And that is a fact. But most people aren't lying.
No.
No.
Like, and I mean, this is true in all kinds of situations in our culture right now, where somebody says, this is my experience, and everybody else says, that's not true. Like, that can't be real. And it's like, no, it is real. Like, they're being honest. People don't make this shit up.
Right.
Like, I mean, there are folks with, like, Munchausen syndrome or whatever, you know,
just
like, that does
talking about
happen,
Munchausen
right?
syndrome
Like, that
yesterday.
does happen. It's so rare. It's
Yeah.
so rare. And it doesn't, it hurts you not at all to be nice to somebody.
Yeah, that's
Right.
it.
Like, it's a tiny bit of extra effort.
Yeah.
And
It's not that hard.
I think a big pet peeve that I have also is people, I call it drag racing your illnesses or problems. Like, when...
Oh, I have this. Well, I have this.
Yes.
I have this.
Oppression Olympics.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know,
No,
when
it's
you
not
sit
a
down, like if
contest.
somebody asks you something and then you say, or just, I still occasionally find myself explaining things because sometimes like